Do you believe in manifestation or do you think it's just a woo woo trend? Have you tried to manifest but had zero luck bringing your desires to life? Were you able to manifest what you wanted only to see it fall apart a couple of months or a couple of years later? In this podcast episode, I will not try to replace any neuroscience related course. I hope to give you insights in how your brain chemistry affects your daily experience and manifestation, or as I like to call it, life creation. But before we dive in with the topic of the day, I want to ask, are we social friends yet? My Instagram is Michelle Mari Pacheco, and I am not only sharing spirituality, neuromindset, and manifestation, I also love to share the things I love and the things I enjoy in life. And it's a great way to getting to know me better. So I hope that we can connect in Instagram, in social. Also, I wanted to remind you that if you are not yet a member of the private Facebook community, Rewire to Align, what are you waiting for, a beautiful soul? Inside there, you're going to find other like-minded people like you and me that can give support or just understand the journey. Because when we are on this personal development journey, you know that people can misunderstand us, or sometimes we try to explain ourselves too much. And in here, you're going to find people that are just like you and me, and that you can find way to expand yourself, right? And get to know these people. And finally, several of you have asked me to create a resource that you can download and that you can work at your pace. And I have been giving a lot of thought. And I think it's time. I think it's time to put something out there. What do you think? I am thinking a digital download or maybe a membership. Just give me your feedback. I want to see what you think. And the way to do this is by sending me a DM or replying to my newsletter. Okay, I'm going to leave the links in the show notes for you so that you can come and join all these beautiful resources. And now let's start with the episode. Hello, beautiful soul. What beliefs do you hold about yourself that might be limiting your potential? In what areas of your life do you feel you are not living authentically? What fears prevent you from expressing your true self? In what ways do you feel disconnected from your higher self, and what beliefs contribute to this disconnection? Welcome to Neuro Soul Sync, a podcast that blends neuroscience and spirituality, exploring the connection of our spiritual and emotional lives with the neuroscience of our bodies and brain. I'm Michelle Murray, your host, certified spiritual neurocoach, IVF twin mompreneur, lover of human design, and all things personal development. A few years ago, I felt exactly like that, yearning to live on purpose and authentically. I wanted to live fearlessly, prioritizing my needs and creating a life aligned to my core values and beliefs. And I was able to master this through neuroplasticity, spirituality, energetics, and the exact simple tools I will share with you here. I believe that when we are in alignment with who we are, life transforms from stuck and resistant to a journey of flow, impacting not only ourselves, but the collective consciousness. So if you're ready to get in the driver's seat of your life, live with authenticity, and discover simple yet powerful solutions that will guide you from feeling stuck to fulfilled, this is your sacred space. Let's get ready to vibe high, align, and manifest. How are you, friend? Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Neuro Soul Sync, where every week we dive into all things spirituality and neuroscience with a sprinkle of manifestation and other things so that you can start aligning with your authenticity and live a fulfilled life. Today, I wanted to jump in really quick to talk to you about how your brain chemistry affects your manifestation process. I think it is necessary to understand that if we truly want to live in alignment with our core values and create a life that is authentic to who we truly are, we have to understand how our brain works and affects all these process. And I am not here to be super technical, because there are plenty of people out there that you can go to if you need all the super technicality. What I want for you is to understand it as simple as possible, so you have a basis of what you can achieve if you truly put this information to work. Are you ready to start? Let me tell you a little story. I have been a powerful manifester most of my life. For most of my life, I have manifested what I truly wanted in my life. And I never noticed it until one day my dad brought it to my attention. And the beginning of my journey in this manifestation world started very young. I think I have mentioned this before, that my grandma, Maria Agustina, gave me one of the first metaphysical books I've ever read at, like, I don't know, I think I was 13, 14, I don't remember. And the book is called Metafísica Cuatro en Uno by Connie Mendez. For those of you who might remember this book. It's very old. I think it was published like in 1977 or something. Anyway, the point is that I noticed that what my dad was telling me was true, especially in my adult life. I always try to follow my intuition, follow my gut feeling, follow what I truly wanted. And due to my pure generator human design, I did. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to leave the link in the show notes for you for the human design episode so that you can learn more about this modality. And because of this, I have created a beautiful life. And I am not 100% there yet. There are things that I still want to create and want to bring into my life, but I'm working to get there with all these tools and all the information I'm going to tell you here, and the information that I also speak here in the podcast. So first, let's clarify what we mean, or what I mean, when I talk about manifestation. At its core, what is it? Well, manifestation is the process of turning our thoughts and desires into reality, right? That's the abstract way to put it. But it involves setting intentions, visualizing outcomes, and taking aligned action towards achieving those goals. But how does the brain fit into all of this? Because the truth is that sometimes if we stay in the abstract part of manifestation, it feels like no matter how much we visualize, or no matter how much we use affirmations, or no matter how much we take actions, things don't go our way, right? So that's why we have to talk about the brain. And let's talk about the brain. Brain chemistry involves neurotransmitters, which are chemical messengers that help transmit signals between brain cells, between neurons, influencing our feelings and actions. And some of these neurotransmitters, one of the most famous one is dopamine. So neurotransmitter, neurochemicals, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, all these things that you have heard about. That's what I'm talking about. If we repeatedly perform an activity, say you're riding a bike, you're learning to ride a bike, or if you repeatedly have feelings of low self-worth, what's going to happen? Those neurotransmitters are going to keep firing, and they're going to start creating a strong pathway. We're going to become hardwired. And what happens when we are being hardwired is that now those practice behaviors, emotions, and beliefs are going to start running in autopilot. And we are responding to stress, to relationships, to challenges, to triggers, to people, to situations based on this programming. Once you learn how to ride a bike, you never forget how to ride a bike, right? You're hardwired to ride that bike. So every time you get into that bike, your brain already knows what is the circuitry of riding the bike, and it's going to refer to that. And that's how you're going to respond, and you're going to react, and you're going to take action in riding the bike. The same thing is with our emotions and feelings. If we have feelings of low self-worth since we are kids, right, and we repeatedly enforcing these feelings, we're going to be hardwired, and that's how we're going to respond to every challenge that comes into our life. That new job, oh my God, the deep feeling of self-worth is going to be there subconsciously, and we might feel that we're not good enough for that job, or for that relationship, or for whatever it is that we are trying to create. If this early programming that usually comes from childhood, because remember, from 0 to 7 years is very important. We are getting super hardwired then, even though this wiring continues until we are like 23, 24. If this early programming was rooted in negative emotions like fear, like insecurity, or low self-esteem, those responses are going to be running on autopilot, affecting our behavior without us realizing it. And I have mentioned before that this autopilot behavior lives in our subconscious mind on episode 36, which was 2 weeks ago, I talk about the subconscious mind, and I mentioned to imagine your subconscious mind as a powerful database. It's like a treasure box. It's filled with a lifetime of memories and emotions and beliefs, and it's shaping who you are even when you don't realize it. So, how does this look in real life? And I'm going to give you here an example. If as a child you often face criticism by people that were very important in your life, your caretakers, your brain might have developed a pattern of defensiveness or self doubt, and that can linger into adulthood, even in situations where it's unnecessary. In a conscious state, you can use logic and reason and say that you're worthy, that you're lovable, or that you're whole, but that doesn't stop the subconscious program from running on autopilot. And you know that we do not manifest from our thoughts. We manifest from our subconscious mind. We don't get what we want. We get who we are at core. This is very important for you to know. So we don't get what we want. We get who we are. This is why sometimes you can get blue in the face saying affirmations like I am worthy and not be able to truly manifest that abundance that you want. The key is to become aware of these autopilot responses and with conscious effort, replacing them with healthier patterns that serves us better in the present. But how do we do that? How do we replace all this programming that have been living with us for years and years? I'm going to tell you how we do that. But before we do that, I want to invite you to join Rewired to Align. This is the private Facebook community that I've been talking to you about. And it's for people that are in the same journey like you and me. Inside here, I'm going to find support, and you're going to be able to meet other people that are in the personal development journey. And those are expanders because we are in the same growth. So make sure that you respond to those 3 questions in the Facebook group, and then you are automatically in. I'm going to leave the link in the show notes for you, and I hope to see you on the inside. Okay, let's get back to this way of replacing all this programming that have been living with us forever. We truly need to understand that we manifest what we subconsciously believe we deserve. And in order to up-level and get what we truly want, we must rewire those old programmings that lives in our brain. We must raise our subconscious self-worth. And the first thing you need to have is the intention to change. And you have to be very honest with yourself here, because some people say, yes, I want to change. But then when the time comes to do the work, they don't want to do the work. So my question is, are you committed to yourself? Are you willing to do the work? Because no one is going to show up for you, friend. You have to advocate and show up for yourself if you want to create change in your life. For example, I met my husband 23 years ago. And at that time, I was a crazy jealous person. And one day he just got tired and he said, you know what, Michelle, I love you so much, but I cannot live like this anymore. And I'm not going to stand and be with somebody who is super jealous, because that's not what I want in my life. What did I do? This could have gone 2 ways. This could have been like, oh my God, okay, well, whatever, leave. Or what I did was that I said to myself, you know what? I cannot keep losing people because of jealousy, because I knew that I was jealous. I knew it. So with intention to change, I went ahead and I went to do the work. So the second thing you need is to do the digging. First thing is to have the intention to change. Without intention, nothing is going to happen. Second thing, you need to do the digging. You have to find out the root cause of the behavior or the limiting belief that you want to change. With my jealousy example, that was I called everybody. I called all my significant past partners. I asked their feedback on how bad was my jealousy. And this was a very tough thing for me to do. And to hear their feedback was very, very hard. But I had to do it because I didn't want to keep losing people. And I really, really like and love my boyfriend at the time, my husband, right? Then doing the digging about why I was jealous, why I was afraid to lose that love, why I was looking for love outside myself. Why did I find myself begging for love? I had to be very inquisitive and really being very honest and do a lot of journaling about this. Friend, this was not easy to do and really to ask myself all these questions to find out what was happening. I had to see my life from a third point of view to understand some things. My parents were very young when they had me. I was an oops. I was not planned. They were truly not together. They never married. Then my father lived very far away from my mom and me, so he was barely present. And my mom was always working and going to school, so she was barely present. And that meant that I was not really nurtured as a child. I didn't have a mom who was very nurturing and loving. She was working on being a great provider and working on her life. So these and many other things have programmed me to look for love outside of myself, to look for that nurturing. You see where I'm going here? This is not superficial work. We truly have to put in the work of the digging to understand why we behave the way we do. The next step you have to do is that you will have to then challenge the belief, the behavior that keeps showing up and reframe it. You're going to probably have to do some forgiving along the way, not only to others, but to yourself for keeping the repetition of the behavior and for losing people along the way or for not getting what you want along the way, for missing opportunities along the way, right? In my example, I had to understand the circumstances that I grew up in. And I had to forgive my parents because they did what they can with what they had. They were super young. They were very immature. They're like baby boomers. It's another generation with other values. And just because I was not nurtured by them didn't mean that they didn't love me, right? And I had to understand that through my rewiring process using tools like the journaling that I told you, the questioning, the theta waves meditation, the hypnosis. I was able to give this nurturing to my inner child, and I was able to reparent myself, and I was able to rewire. This process helped me in creating awareness. And as I said before, the way we rewire is by responding differently when we are faced with the same or similar situation. So you can do a lot of work, but if you keep responding or reacting the same way, all the work and all the things that you did, all the books that you read, and all the, I don't know, all the meditation and seminars that you did, it's not going to work. You have to take a different action, and that's the way that you rewired. So after doing all this work, what happened with me was that whenever I felt jealous, I took a pause internally, sometimes very fast, right? Because sometimes we have to take this pause very fast in the situation, if we are in a situation. And I actually questioned my jealousy. Was there ground for my jealousy? Or was it me feeling insecure for fear of losing love? And it had nothing to do with Tony. It had all to do with me and my past. Remember, we manifest what we subconsciously believe we deserve. And I'm mentioning this a lot because this is something that we have to put in our brain. We manifest what we subconsciously believe we deserve. We have to understand that by taking that pause and responding differently instead of reacting like I always used to do, like a jealous, crazy person, I was able to move forward and completely rewire this programming. And 23 years later, I'm here with my husband, jealous free. And if I can do it, you can do it too. And this is why I came here, for you to understand how the manifestation process works through neuroscience. The amazing thing about your brain is that it's always changing. Thanks to neuroplasticity, friend. We've talked about this many times. Your brain can literally rewire itself based on what you repeatedly think, feel, and do. That means with enough repetition, you can start to let go of old, unhelpful patterns like self doubt or fear, which is what I had, and build new neural pathways that support confidence, that support emotional balance, and it's going to level your self-worth. In simple terms, the more you practice a new way of thinking or responding, the stronger the connections in your brain will become. Over time, those healthier patterns can become your new default. You're not stuck. You're not stuck with the way things have always been. And now there's a lot of science out there, if you want to read about it, that you and your brain have the power to reshape your thoughts, to reshape your habits, and even your emotional experiences just by practicing new supportive patterns over and over again. That's neuroplasticity in action. And I remember that I was looking at Bashar, I don't know, 6 months ago, and he was going over this. And if you don't know who Bashar is this alien identity channeled through a guy named Dario Anka. And you can go on YouTube. That's it. I'm going to just leave it out there for you. Go on YouTube. And he was saying to somebody, once you discover the pattern, that's it. Your work is done because you discover already the pattern. So now you can change and, respond differently. However, if you keep repeating the pattern, then that's a choice. It's not a pattern because now you know. You see, my friend, everything is working out for you to understand that you can rewire, you can reshape your thoughts, you can create new habits, and you can work in your emotional experiences to be rewired. So, Michelle, how does all this information relate to manifestation, you might ask? Manifestation again. Let's go back to the beginning of the episode. Manifestation at its core is about intentionally creating your reality through your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. Intentionally, right? And once you have that awareness of the beliefs that need to be rewired and you do the digging, and you work through them and you release them and you reprogram your brain, you have to be very inquisitive here and do the work. Then you can work to manifest or intentionally create a life that is more authentic to who you truly are, because now you have raised your subconscious self-worth. And this is what this process is all about. When you say reprogram your subconscious, rewire your subconscious belief, what we're doing is peeling all these layers from all these years and going to the core of our authentic self and knowing that we came into this world worthy of everything we want. So when people talk about raising your vibration or attracting something through manifestation, science will say that you're rewiring your brain to think, feel, and act in alignment with your goals. And your brain starts helping you find ways to make those goals real. In short, my beautiful soul, manifestation equals intentional neuroplasticity. Yes, you're consciously choosing what to practice, what to believe, and what to focus on, so your brain and your life start moving in that direction. That's it. That's what we have for today. And to close this topic, I have several questions for you. What are you choosing today? Who are you choosing to be? Are you ready to respond in new ways, or are you comfortable reacting to people, situations, and triggers the way that you're used to? Nothing changes if nothing changes, my friend. And I can help you with the change. I can be your accountability partner that you need to speed things up in your life. The link to apply to work with me is in the show notes, and you can schedule one clarity session, or you can schedule a bundle of sessions if there is a particular thing you want to focus on. Now, on this episode, I spoke about several brain regions and several technicalities, and I have already mentioned a lot of that in the podcast. So I'm going to link the episodes for you. Actually, better yet, you're going to have the episode catalog, and you can probably look for the category called Neuro Essentials. And over there, you're going to find several episodes that talk about things mentioned here, and you can use them as reference. All right, friend, it's time for me to go. It is my wish that this episode serves and blesses you. Remember, living in alignment and authenticity is a journey. Embrace each moment as a choice to connect deeper to your true self. Until next time, keep syncing your mind and soul to create a life in alignment. I'm sending you love. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I love creating it. If what you heard helped you, the number one way you can thank me is by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. My mission is that you feel empowered and more spiritually connected after listening, so your feedback means the world to me. Just scroll down to where it says write a review and leave me yours. And if you love what Neuro Soul Sync is about, please share with your family and friends. I believe the world becomes a better place when we come together collectively to make the change. I look forward to be with you next week.